Hi there, thanks for watching. Today's all about the JLM Special, and we're really excited about the results that I got last week. It's really good to be able to design a fly in your mind, put it together on the vise, and then actually go and test it successfully. Even though the conditions weren't great, the fish were very much appreciative of the option for a slightly new diet. So to start off with, we're going to put some weight onto the hook so that the fly can sink, and that's quite important also in terms of casting. So I've got some lead wire. I'm going to take off about 6 centimeters, and the great thing about this is you can just pinch it off with your fingernails. So that goes onto the hook. Again, the most important thing is to keep the wraps nice and tight and neat, so that when they all come together they don't end up being too bulky on the fly. The good thing about this wire is that it takes its shape quite well, and it's very soft and easy to work with. Okay, just be mindful that you don't want to leave them behind at the lake, because lead is poisonous, and it's not something that you want to leave around in the environment. Okay, so just take extra special care with that when you're actually out there fishing. We've almost gone to the end of the straight part of this hook. The hook is a Camasan size 12, a long one. I'll just show you what I use here. Obviously for saltwater species you will want to scale up and make it a bit of a bigger hook, and actually a stronger hook. Very important, because the fish that you're after will be able to straighten them much more easily than you think. Okay, so almost done with the lead wire. Just take it all the way, tuck it in, make sure that it's nice and tight. Okay, so if you can see, the wraps are nice and close. Any little pieces that are left over, you just want to tighten them up and make sure that they're sitting snug. The great thing is that the tying silk will come in and make it all neat. So again, exactly the same as last time. We're going to go with a uni thread number 6. Just get it in, start it off nice and tight, and then begin wrapping. Don't worry if it goes in between the pieces of the lead, because that's going to snuggle all down, and later on the embroidery thread that we use for the body will come in and make it a lot neater at the end. Okay, so I've got a little less space to work with last time because of the feedback I got about the camera. Need to get it right in and focusing on the hook, and we'll see if this works better. Again, thanks for all the feedback I've got from my blog. I'm absolutely blown away by everyone's generosity and kindness, and just enthusiasm. So that's why I'm carrying on. Okay, so first thing we want to do is bring in a different set of deer hair than last time. This is a bit coarser, it's larger, and we want these pieces for all the parts of the shrimp that look like legs and feelers and so on. Just snip some out. Again, take care, if you're going to make an error, always cut less than you need rather than more, because there's nothing worse than a fly that looks like it's actually a traffic jam of materials all just stacked together. Okay, so again, I'm going to go for about, I won't count them, but it's probably about 20 fibers altogether. Cut them off quite low down on the hook, low down on the fibers, so that we've got a bit of length. Sorry, there's a lot of movement in front of the camera because I'm trying to throw away all my pieces of rubbish into that little jam jar of mine. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. Much bigger than the fly I tied last time, and this time what I'm going to do is leave the stumps of the deer hair, because later on when they flare up, they become an integral part of the shape of the fly at the back end, which is actually the part that the fish sees when it's chasing it. So it's very important to get that right. Okay, so we're going to come in at the back. It's very messy if you don't get it right, and don't worry about that. When you first tie with this stuff, you're probably going to do a couple of practices and think you've made a massive mess. Good thing is a little bit of magic work with the scissors, and everything all of a sudden starts looking a bit more polite and organized on the fly. Okay, so as you can see, we've got a very messy looking thing at the moment. We will give it a bit of a trim, but not too much, because those little fibers that are sticking out will become very important later on. Okay, so fibers are pointing forward again, as per last time. Those of you who didn't get a chance to, go and look at Charlie Craven's website. There's a link on my blog, I think just underneath one of the videos that I posted last week. And go and treat yourself, because he is someone that spent a lot of hours on the vise, and he's brilliant at sharing his knowledge. He's also very generous with what he explains to people, rather than trying to keep it all to himself. So thanks, Charlie. Again, nice strong wraps, very, very important to tighten it all up, because you want your fly to be able to ride out everything that it goes through with a heavy fish on the other side. Just trying to see if I've got the one that I used last weekend. Here it is. It's looking a little bit battle weary, but I think we'll all agree that that's still ready. You could go fishing with that again today and be equally successful. So it's had 3 nice big fish. I think altogether they weighed 8 pounds, 2 3-pounders and 1 2-pounder. And this little guy was really victorious last weekend when it was so cold. My fingers are still, they've come back to normal, but they struggled last weekend. Alright, so roe deer hair, it's very coarse, it's sticking out the back, and I'm quite excited about the fact that they will move in the water, but they're also stiff. By leaving those base pieces, they will stay stiff, and it keeps the form of the fly. Okay. Just going to take the thread forward again to form a nice base. We'll come in a bit later with the embroidery thread. But this way, by just doing one length up and one length back, we're going to make sure that the wire is nice and snug against the hook. Again, when I tie, I try and take extra care so that we eventually have something that is going to last for a long time. Otherwise we're wasting our time. The next piece is rabbit fur. Rabbit fur has got completely different properties to deer hair. That is much softer. That's what it looks like on the screen. Again, there's different layers. If you look in between, as much as if you've got a cat or a dog, you can stroke against the direction of the fibers, and you'll see that underneath is where the real insulation happens. Those little pockets of air get caught in between there. It's that soft bit that I'm after now when I cut it off, because A, it's lighter and it gives a different colour in the fly, but more importantly I think is the soft fibers, how they react in the water. Because if you're stripping and you're being intelligent with how you move the fly in the water, it'll pulsate just like a swimming shrimp. So again, one day on my blog I'll try and get sophisticated enough to show some live footage of shrimp swimming. And as much as you can get your fly to do the same thing in the water, by putting the rabbit fur on, you're actually equipping it with the right materials to be able to give that same impression. So there will be parts of the video that are not fun to watch, because it's just my hand is getting in the way and all of that, but rather than getting too fancy with the editing, more importantly I think you should be able to see what we're doing. So the small piece of rabbit fur I'm going to put in going in the opposite direction, just on the top. Just be careful when you put it on, because you do want it towards the top rather than creeping right around the sides of the hook. So one loose wrap, snug it down, and then a couple of tight ones. That should help. Making a bit of a mess there. That's what I'm after. Okay, so you can see when the fibers are pointing upwards, that'll help them bend over and fold back just now. Again, we've got a bit of extra length here at the top. Some of it will come out because it's too short. I'll trim it slightly, but I will like to leave some back to give it a bit of extra body. Now I'll wrap that back so that